we look out for each other. If they go on vacation, I watch the property. If I'm on vacation, they watch my property. Um, his wife, I told you she was a little crazy. She almost shot the cable guy one day.
That's hilarious.
Had the cable guy coming out to install internet, and his vehicle was unmarked, so it was just a solid white van. No
Okay, that
windows
is a
on
little
it.
sus.
Yeah. So I done talked to him. He was out walking around looking at where he was going to run the line at, and I hear screaming. I'm inside the house, and I hear her screaming. I hear him yelling, and I'm like, "What in the world is going on out there?" And I walk outside, and she's got a 45 revolver waving around in the air. Who do you think you are? Why the F are you over there? What business you got on that property? And I come running out. Whoa, it's okay. It's okay. It's the cable guy. Poor dude. Poor dude was so pale. Like, he just knew he was about to die.
Inside of the city, the people are crazy, out of their minds, they ain't got a clue. We gone away, headed west for Montana, left family and friends, all I got now is you. We both got new jobs, a house and a homestead, thinking this was the life, all that there'd be. After our firstborn, you had to stay home. That's when the work got in the way for me. Well, I started farm hop life. We'll come to your farm to help and to wander. Me and the family, a truck and an RV. Send us a message and there will be.
This is the Farm Hop Life podcast, a traveling homestead family. I'm Matt DeRozier. Tonight, my guest is Joseph Smith of Smith Homestead in Mississippi. He's been homesteading for 11 years, 2 years full-time. He's a homeschooler, market vendor, stay-at-home dad, married 7 years, and has 3 kids. Small space homesteading expert and intensive gardening expert. How's it going tonight?
Good. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm glad we could finally reschedule this since last month your power went out, and it seems like your power's going to go out again. So that's why you're on your phone.
I got a backup plan this time. So.
Yeah, there you go. So it's kind of funny how we came across each other. I was on TikTok, and I was like, just adding like homestead people on TikTok and following their stuff. And it's like, all right, Homestead Padre. Cool. And like saw a couple of your videos, like right on. And then all of a sudden you showed up like somewhere else in one of my other social medias, and then like somewhere else, and then another spot. And then in our like this Telegram chat that we're both in, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, why is all of a sudden he's in my space? It was just kind of funny that you just showed up in everything I have. So I guess I was meant to talk to you.
Yeah, because when you showed up in the Telegram group, I was like, man, that logo looks so familiar. And because I'd already been following you on TikTok for a little while. And then we talked a little bit. And actually how I put it together was you messaged me on TikTok. And I thought I was on the Telegram messenger. And then in responding to you, I realized, I'm on TikTok. I've never talked to anybody through TikTok messages. So that's when it all dawned to me. I was like, oh, this is the guy that just came in the Telegram group. So.
Yeah. It's just kind of funny how that came together. So you have a crazy story, and also judging by your recent your throwback selfies that you posted on Twitter recently, definitely interesting history that we kind of got into a little bit, just back and forth between you and I. So take me back a little bit. How'd you get started homesteading?
It really goes back to 2004 when I got discharged from the Army. I came. They flew me into New Orleans, which is a couple hours away from where I was going to be living at. I had somebody come pick me up at the airport. Within a month, I was actually homeless. Couldn't find a job anywhere, and I was living on the streets in Biloxi, Mississippi, down on the Gulf Coast. If anybody knows, um, sleeping on the beach, sleeping under piers. Had a job at a gas station that paid minimum wage, and that's kind of a lift up, I guess. But at this point, I was when I finally got that job, I was eating 1 meal a week, maybe 2 meals a week, and
Whoa.
they allowed you to charge, and they would take that charge out of your paycheck. So I was literally just eating gas station food and having half my paycheck subtracted. So that didn't really get me too far. Lived like that for about a year, still sleeping under piers, sleeping in the bathrooms at the beach, anywhere. If it was pretty, if it was in the summertime, I slept out on the sand. No big deal. But during winter, during rough weather, it could be tough to find a shelter to sleep in at the Gulf of Mexico. So fast forward about a year, really it was my uncle had been trying to find me for months, and he finally got in touch with me through my dad, and he called me, or I called him by his request, and he was like, I can't let you live like that no more. Your grandma said you could come stay with her. And I said, okay, I'm tired of living like this too. And he was a truck driver, West Coast truck driver. He swapped loads in Texas with a guy, and which took him to Florida, which took him right past where I was at. So I made my way to a truck stop. He picked me up in a truck, and I rode with him to Tampa, Florida, Jackson, Florida, back up to North Carolina, where I was born and raised. And stayed with my grandmother for about 2 months, and got a job driving a delivery truck for Best Buy. Bought a car, got an apartment, and got back on my feet from there.
Dang.
So that was 2005. I left here a month before Katrina hit.
Oh, wow.
I would have been sleeping in a public bathroom at the beach probably when that hurricane made landfall. So my uncle saved my life.
Dang, dude.
But
glad you're here. Holy smokes.
yeah. So fast forward a few years, doing my thing up there. Got into the tattoo world. That's what you was talking about. Some of my throwback pictures, all metalled up, covered in tattoos. I was a professional tattoo artist for 2 years, 2.5 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And, yeah,
What was your
lived that
style?
lifestyle of all. My style was old school. I like the Sailor Jerry type
Bold and
stuff
heavy.
from the 60s, 70s. Yeah.
Sure.
And I did, when I got out of it, I was actually doing a lot of mindless work. It was just all color work, no clients whatsoever. I was getting into that. And I was a professional piercer. You name it, I have pierced it. And so during that lifestyle of drugs and women and alcohol, and I kind of got burnt out on that.
Sure.
About 2 years, 2.5 years. Went and got a regular job. And one thing through all of this, right, that always stuck with me was when I was homeless and how tough it was to find a meal. I guess I'm admitting to a crime here. I have scammed McDonald's out of food before. I would go through the trash can and find receipts that people had thrown away and go into the store complaining about my food being wrong. And I give them the receipt, and they would remake the order for me. And
I've seen that
I
in a
didn't do that.
movie.
Oh, see, I'm not original. I thought I was original with that. But
it's a skate movie called Grind, if anyone cares.
I've never seen it. I got to check it out. But they,
That's all right.
I didn't do that often. I always felt really guilty about it. I went to the Catholic diocese. They would feed you, but they wanted to give you food. And I went one time, and they wanted to give me canned food and a big frozen turkey. And I'm like, unless I could cook this over a bonfire on the beach. There's nothing I can do with this turkey. So, but
That's funny.
After coming out of homelessness, through everything I went through, I had developed a self-preservation mode that was always in the back of my mind. I was always looking for escape routes, and I'm sure some of that comes from the Army too, right? But I was always looking for an escape, whether it was a physical escape or an emotional escape. I always had a way out of something. I was going to make sure I was never without a roof over my head. I was going to make sure I was never without food. I was going to make sure I was never in a dangerous situation that I didn't put myself into on purpose. And it kind of went from there. One year I decided, I was like, I want to grow a garden. And that was 2010, 2011, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to grow a garden. And I didn't read any books, didn't do any research. And 2010, this is before the age of smartphones, or when smartphones were just kicking off.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't really, pull it out of your pocket and look, right?
Right.
So I harkened back to when I was younger. When I was younger, I used to spend summers at my great grandma's house up in Virginia, and she had a 1 acre garden, and that woman worked you to the bone from sun up to sundown.
It's a big garden.
And I'm talking, I'm 7 years old, 8 years old, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I hated it, hated every moment of it. Didn't pay a lot of attention back then. So I'm sitting there trying to recall memories from a time that I hated and didn't pay attention to.
Right.
Or how great grandma did this. But so needless to say, the first year was a failure. I planted my tomatoes up under a bunch of poplar and maple trees, and completely shaded out, and it was just absolute failure. But I didn't lose hope. So I spent that winters in North Carolina was much different winters in South Mississippi. So that winter, I was checking out books from the library on agriculture, industrial farming, the hippie movements in the 60s and 70s, and just learning all these different ways, just soaking in as much knowledge as I could soak in. So the next year was a much bigger garden in a completely different place, and did really well. And that's kind of where it started at. I went from that first failed garden to now I'm on a 3 acre plot with chickens and turkeys and goats and sheep and 5,000 square foot garden area, orchard in the front yard.
That's awesome, dude.
It's just grown from there over time, one little bit every year. You learn something one year and you fix it the next year, and it's just grown from there.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about how you went full time? How you made that decision?
Oh, that's a fun one. So I was working in the telecommunication industry on the maintenance side of it, and we're talking tower climbers and things like that.
Okay.
And
yep.
I was the business analyst for this company, one of the largest tower maintenance companies in the country.
Mm.
And for about 6 months, they had flown me around the country. I'd take training here and training there, and they were getting this new computer system in. And it's supposed to make my life easier, my job easier, because as big as we were, covering 32 states, I was still punching everything into a spreadsheet, right? And so we were doing a serious upgrade of the computer systems. And COVID hit. And it was Friday the 13th, March 2020. I got back from a doctor's office, and HR lady was sitting in my office waiting on me. I walked in. She's like, "If you would shut the door, we need to talk." And I said, "Okay." So I shut the door. I went behind my desk and immediately just started cleaning my desk out. Like I knew what was going on. Didn't know why it was going on, but I've seen that situation before. And they let me go, and I was an essential personnel, and I was going home, couldn't do my job from home, so they were just letting me go.
That's it? And that's all they needed?
Yeah.
I
had never been written up. I had never been spoken to. no warnings, like, raise every year, good employee. But what had happened was, I made $50,000 a year. They put a $15,000 computer system in that basically did my job for me.
Mm.
So I wasn't let go because of COVID. I was let go because of the computer system. I don't care what anybody tells me. And it's fine.
Automation.
Right. Automation is going to be replacing jobs more and more going forward, right?
Oh, definitely. Yep.
So I accepted what happened. Immediately started putting in job applications. I got a wife and 3 kids. And nobody was hiring. Actually, everybody was laying off because we were just getting into the throes of the pandemic and the lockdowns and all that. So got on unemployment. It took them a month to actually get me my first unemployment check. And that was March. April, I got my first check. The end of April, I don't know if you know him on Twitter. Any of your listeners on Twitter might know him, Coach Joe Hart. He's the flipping expert. He was down in Mississippi for a funeral about two and a half hours north of me. And he messaged me. He's like, hey, you mind if I swing by? Because I had just got into this flipping thing, trying to earn some side money.
Like flipping just regular items or houses?
Just regular items.
Okay.
Like the pandemic was going on. I was buying. Mississippi never shut down. So you had states like New York, California, Minnesota that were just complete lockdown, right? Michigan. Mm-hmm. So Mississippi never locked down. We never even had a mask mandate. We had a mask advisory. They advised us to wear one.
Sure.
And so I was going into Dollar General buying $10 hair clippers and selling them on eBay for $25. And they were going, and I made $1,000 in one day off of weights, off of barbells. There's no gyms and everything like that. So I was buying at $2 a pound. I put them on auction on eBay, and they were selling at $10 a pound. And I was like, I felt bad for a little while. I was like, man, I feel like I'm ripping people off. But I was like, as long as I'm in the auction section, people are controlling what they're spending, right? So I kind of let that go. So I did really good doing that, and I used that boost to really invest into the farm. And we're in middle May 2020 now, and my wife was like, your dream's the farm. She goes, I think you need to really focus on the farm. And I was like, I kind of fought it for a couple of weeks, and I still did the flipping thing, but I really started focusing on the farm. We really started looking more at our online business. We've had that since 2016. It's just a little side thing, our website. And then we really got into local markets, local community markets, doing vendors, becoming a vendor and selling there. And that just rocketed us to another level at that point, right? And it was then that I knew if I put in the work and effort, this is all I had to do. You know what I mean? I can make my living on my property with my animals and with my plants, and I can love every minute of it. And that's where I've been ever since.
Dude, that's awesome. Man, that's got to be stressful though too, because you said you were making $50K a year. That's got to be. I mean, it's not exactly like apples to apples. Okay, I just need to make 50 grand in farming. It's more like I'm providing more of our own food, so that cuts back on groceries. That's less I have to spend, which means it's less I have to make. So there's a whole balancing act, but still
it was a complete shift in mentality.
Sure.
I now understand that I can live very comfortably on $25,000 a year.
Really? Dude, that's amazing.
What has happened, and I kid you not, when I made 50 grand a year, we had a lot more debt back then.
Sure.
because like most Americans and what we're really taught in school or lack of teaching in schools, um, we try to live to our income.
Right.
So versus when our income goes up, our debt tends to go up because we like to buy more toys and do more things.
Yeah, there you go.
And I followed that trend too. So at $50,000 a year, it was nothing for my bank account to hit a negative between paycheck and paycheck. No, that's very common. And it was just, I was loose with the money. The kids wanted to go do something, or my daughter wanted a new toy, or wife wanted to go on a trip. Well, guess what? That's what we went and did. And since then, in the last 2.5 years, my bank account has been negative 0 times.
Nice, dude.
I'm not putting near as much money in there, but once the mentality shift hit and we got rid of a bunch of debt, paid off a bunch of credit cards and things like that, while I was doing, that's what we used a lot of the flipping money for, just getting rid of debt. And it's been living well within our means now. So, a big helper is raising our own food.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a grocery store. I lied to you. I went a couple days ago to buy a gallon of milk, but
How could you?
yeah. So our grocery store visits have been toilet paper. It has been a gallon of milk here and there, and we actually have a local creamery, and it's usually where I buy milk from. But they went on vacation or something, I forget, but they were closed for like 4 days. So I went to the grocery store, and that's what we go to grocery store now. Like we go to Sam's Club, and when we go to the grocery store, usually it's Sam's Club. So we'll go to Sam's Club once every 3-4 months, and usually that's to buy toilet paper, paper towels, things like that. Just the stuff we could make. I say could make because I know how to, but I don't want to here on the homestead.
You got enough to do.
Yeah, if anybody has ever turned paper into pulp and then mashed it into toilet paper and tried using it, you'll realize just how much you enjoy what you buy at the grocery store.
I'm imagining it being very coarse.
It gets you clean. I'll just leave it at that.
Good to know.
But it's a skill. If we ever needed it, I know how to do it. But as long as I don't have to, I'm not going to.
Right. It's one of those things. Like
and it's it's one of those things you got to figure out where. I'm not a purist. There's a lot of homestead purists out there. They do everything by back-breaking labor, and they're going to make everything the old school way, and that's fine. That's great for them. I'm not that guy. I like to provide really food. Food is what is the thing that we provide most for our family here. We use everything we sell on our website, soaps, things like that. We do make that ourselves and use it. And I do a lot of household cleaners using all natural products. So we've cut a lot of that stuff out, but there's a lot of stuff that you just go to the store and buy it.
Right.
I'm not against solar panels. I'm not against windmills. I have a weather station in my backyard that gives me a 2-day in advance forecast. I'm a proponent for technology if it makes your life easier.
No, that makes sense. Why would you? Oh, I'm sure someone could give me a reason, but I don't see why you'd not use the available tools. Don't rely on it. If this one thing breaks, I'm screwed. Obviously that's not very good. But
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I got a riding mower. I have a push mower, and then I have one of those old school lawnmowers with the spinning blades on it that you push.
Oh, nice.
I want a scythe, and more for the novelty of it. I know people that are real deep in the scything, and that's how they mow their grass and everything, and that's cool.
Right. Yeah.
I want one just to learn the skill of doing it. Again, in case it's ever needed, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So,
it looks very therapeutic.
Yeah, it does.
There's a rhythm.
Yeah. It's did you see my video on cleaning amaranth seeds?
I didn't see the video. I saw the thumbnail. that you guys were about to like make like millet and make bread.
Yeah. So we gathered the amaranth seeds, and you get little flower petals and everything in there, and some in there is okay, but you don't want to leave them all in there. You got to clean it out. So I posted a video on Twitter of shaking the bowl and then blowing into the bowl, and the flower petals blow out, but the seeds being heavier just stay.
Sure, makes sense.
And the very first reply I got was, "All right, how do you automate this?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't, cause that's therapeutic to me. It's almost meditative. You just shake the bowl, you blow, your mind's wandering, you're thinking about this or that,
Right.
and it's a moment of sitting back and relaxing a little bit. Because even outside of the corporate world, the amount of stress I have has not changed. It's just the things that I stress about have changed.
Sure.
And I try to tell people that, and they're like, "Oh, that the homestead lifestyle looks great, lovely, it's beautiful, peaceful." And I'm like, "Yes, it's all those things, and it's entirely stressful." So if you leave the corporate world and go to the homestead world, you're doing it full time. You're just trading one set of stresses for another set of stresses.
Sure.
You're making a decision at that point. Which stresses are you more willing to deal with?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say one example was beginning of June. We had a heat wave. It didn't rain for 2 weeks. That was a big stress for me, trying to make sure my plants were watered and everything. So it's not a deadline for a report. It's worrying about water for my plants. So you're just trading stresses, one stress for another stress.
Right. So let's talk about what motivates you to grow your own food. I think it's pretty obvious. You make an income from it. It sustains your lifestyle. I mean, you got wife and 3 kids to take care of by growing your own food. And I mean, is there more to it than that? Like eating healthy food that you grew? Because let's face it, like good food is expensive. Well, food in general is expensive now, but good food's even more expensive. So I mean,
right.
Like, what else would motivate you to grow your own food?
All right. So as far as income, I only make income off of my winter garden. My spring and summer garden I have made money off of it selling a watermelon here and there, but I don't use it as a big income source, right? So
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So spring and summer is just my family's food, primarily. We grow a lot. I think for the most part is there's 3 farmers markets around me that we go to, and all of them have their own produce vendors already.
Okay, so the market's saturated.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So didn't want to fool with that. So I focus on growing enough that we can eat now and we can preserve for later. Okay. So all winter long, we're going to eat what came out of the garden over the summer.
Okay.
When we shift to the winter garden, South Mississippi is beautiful in the fact that I can grow a garden 12 months out of the year and not really worry about anything. We don't have hard freezes here.
Okay, good.
So
that's nice.
Broccoli, cauliflower, all your leafy greens, collard, spinach, kale, lettuce. That's what I grow all winter long. I grow it without impediment. I grow it without worrying about hard freezes killing anything. And no farmer's market around here has a produce vendor in the wintertime. I'm the only one. So people are coming to me in the wintertime to get their fresh spinach and to get their fresh lettuce and their broccolis and their Brussels sprouts.
Dang, that's pretty sweet. That's kind of ballsy. I'm not gonna lie. That you just all eggs in the winter market basket.
Yeah, well, this time of year, we have our soap and our candles and our lotions, and my wife makes jewelry. And this year we started the Homestead Bakery, so we have all those other market income sources.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing in the spring, summer, and fall. So we shift in the wintertime to vegetables.
I
And
was
what
gonna
happens is
say, go
we
ahead.
don't actually take the other two away. We just add one more market booth. We add the vegetable booth. It's the great thing about having a 19-year-old son. I can put him in charge of a booth and say, "How about it?"
There you go. So the summer market's more like artisanal, I guess is the word, like stuff
Yeah.
as well as like bread and like
Yes.
pastry items. Okay.
Yeah. If it's on my website, it's at my market booth in the
Nice.
summertime.
Nice. That's interesting. I haven't heard of that strategy before, that you just focus on these things for the summer and then actually do produce in the winter. That's interesting.
It's taken a few years to get there, and
I bet.
it's just trial and error, figuring out what's working when. Like this time of year, we don't take candles. We make homemade home poured candles, hand poured candles. They do not go to the market in the summertime, to the vendor booth. We just don't sell them. There's no market for it. I don't sell them online hardly this time of year. Come fall, I sell candles like it's like you're never gonna be able to light a candle again. And so we've just learned. Like we've done the artisanal thing since 2016. So we've had a lot of years to figure out what's gonna sell when, so we know what to put our focus on. Right now, summertime, I sell a lot of soap. And I guess because everybody's hot and sweaty and they want to take a shower.
Especially this year, it seems like just the heat has been nuts.
Right. So it's
selling extra soap this year?
Do what?
Are you selling extra soap this year?
Yeah, we've sold a lot of soap this year. I've had a hard time making enough. But we cold process, so from the time a batch is done to the time I can sell it, at minimum is 4 weeks.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, soap has to cure a minimum of 4 weeks. If you cold process it, you can hot process it, but the soap quality is not near as good.
What's
cold process is the true old fashioned way.
What's your base? Like, do you use like goat milk in your soaps or something?
We use a mixture of oils: coconut oil, sunflower oil, olive oil.
Nice. Is there even goat milk soap? Is that a thing?
Yes, it is.
Am I mixing? Oh, okay. I was like, wait, am I making stuff up?
No, goat's milk soap is very popular. We do not make any though. There are two other vendors at the market that sell goat's milk soap. One of them sells only goat's milk. All his soap, different varieties, all have goat's milk in it. So we actually have a kind of a partnership with them. If somebody comes by looking for soap that's not goat's milk, he sends them our way. If somebody comes by our booth looking for goat's milk soap, we send them his way. And
nice.
that's worked really well, having that. Because even though we're competition for each other, we're helping each other at the same time. Yeah.
Unless someone's on the fence, and then you'll kill each other to get their business.
No, my prices are better than Steve's, so I usually win on that one.
I suppose.
That one extra ingredient, that goat's milk, raises the price just a little bit.
I believe it. Let's talk about your property a little bit.
Okay.
What methods, like practices or techniques, do you have on your property? So like you said that you can like densely plant and garden your stuff. How are you achieving that?
Okay, so I use a method of gardening, and it's a method of intensive gardening that requires. So, do you know what square foot gardening is?
Yes, I do it here. I'm like crappy at it, but I do it.
You know what companion planting is?
Yes.
Okay, I mix them together.
Okay, I thought that was part of square foot gardening, that you do companion plants with square foot gardening. Like I'm struggling, like basil with tomatoes or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. because I usually
Why
throw
that? You
people
mean
off.
you don't get that isn't the standard? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I don't get that
Okay,
that's
I
not the
agree.
standard. Because it makes sense to me. If you go back to the Native Americans and the Three Sisters, right? That's companion planting in kind of a square foot garden fashion.
Okay.
So yeah, so the great thing about square foot and companion planting together, because you said tomatoes and basil, so you can get one tomato plant in a square foot, you can get 4 basil plants in a square foot. So you plant a tomato plant in the center, and you put a basil plant on each corner of that
There you
square
go.
foot.
Yeah.
So now you have 5 plants on 1 square foot, and that's how I garden everything. Nothing goes in the ground without a companion going in right beside it. So I've already harvested my potatoes, or I would love to show you when I plant again next year. Remind me. I have beans. I have bean vines growing through my potato plants. And beans
That's
and
funny.
potatoes go really great together. Potatoes are heavy feeders. Beans pull a lot of nitrogen out of the air and put it into the ground. So potatoes are feeders, and beans like to give it to them. Same thing beans do for corn. The Three Sisters. So they're benefiting each other, and I always plant together.
I'm trying to find the name of this book that I wonder if you've Plant Partners, Science-Based Companion Planting Strategies for the Vegetable Garden by Jessica Walliser. Walliser? I don't know if you've read that.
I have
The
never.
Plant Partners books. It's not like a chart. Online you see like a chart, like, oh, if you're planting, let's say, tomatoes, also plant these 3 other things or whatever. If you're planting onions, plant this with onions, like chart like that. This isn't quite like that. It's more like it's broken up. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you going for pest like resilience? Plant this with that, or this with that.
Right.
Or this with that. Or are you trying to, like, you have a fungal problem? Do you have a nitrogen problem? Do you have blah, blah, blah problem? Like, that's how it's broken up. Like,
right.
What is your desired outcome? Not necessarily like a catch-all, blah, blah, blah. It was interesting. So I was curious, like, where I was going with that is, do you have like your standard, okay, if I am planting onions, I always plant them with this. If I'm planting, I don't know, strawberries, I'm planting it with this.
I don't have a standard. I have a standard plant that I plant at all times with everything. And
Okay.
if you've ever seen, I don't know, I've talked about it many times on Twitter, is marigolds. Marigold is a wonder plant.
The flower.
Yes.
Okay.
So marigold will keep rodents out of your garden, squirrels, rabbits, it'll even repel deer. And it'll repel many pests as well. Marigolds are on your tomatoes, you're not going to get any hornworms on them. I plant hundreds of marigolds every year. I start them in seed myself in the greenhouse, and they go in the garden when I'm planting. And I don't have possums, rabbits, deer. I don't have those problems in my garden. I never have. There's no fence around my garden, but there are marigold everywhere.
Is it just something about the smell, or like what is it?
Yeah, it's the smell that repels them. Both the pests and the rodents are repelled by the scent of it.
No, I'm trying to think of what a marigold smells like.
And a marigold's actually edible. So,
like the whole head, or just the petals, or what part?
Well, the whole plant is edible. Leaf, fruit, flower. The flower it doesn't taste well. The flower is not terrible, but the rest of the plant is horrible. And yes, I've tried it. And the flower is very peppery, actually. So it's actually not a bad addition if you want like a peppery flavor to a salad. You throw a couple marigold flowers in.
That would be good.
So it's yeah. So marigold is I have to have it plant. I've seen people post on Twitter, how do I get rid of this pest, or I'm having this problem with deer. Somebody come up with this big contraption to put around their tree involving a fence and barbed wire and some stakes and an electric deterrent. And I was like, plant marigolds around your trees. And he did, and he hasn't had a deer problem since.
That's crazy. I'm gonna have to try that. Because I was like thinking, like I've got a roll of fencing that I bought like cheap. It's like, oh man, what was it? It's like 330 feet. And it's a 6-foot fence that I picked up for $100 a couple of years ago, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to use this because we just get deer through the yard all the time. And
Right.
One year I tried like that, whatever, like powdery junk that you sprinkle and you're supposed to water it and it lasts like a month or two. That worked, but then I forgot to keep applying it. So eventually everything got eaten. But and flowers seem cheaper than fencing.
Oh yeah, especially if you grow them yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
I think every year I pay like $6 for 1,000 seeds. So it's if you got space in a greenhouse or in a sunny room somewhere that you can put out, 500 seeds, then I recommend it. If it doesn't work for you, the worst you've done is planted some pretty flowers in your yard.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
It's always worked for me, and everyone I've suggested it to has always said good things.
I'm gonna need to try that. Maybe I'll instead of growing any food, I'll grow marigolds and be like, I will keep the deer out of your yard with this flower. Give me the difference. Whatever you grew last year minus this year, and I'll take that extra.
There you go. It's a great plant, and recently I've seen other people starting to talk about marigolds and the benefits of them, which makes me happy. Marigolds and dandelions, I talk about them all the time.
Nice. You're finally catching on. You're spreading the good word of marigolds.
Yeah, hopefully. And people look at me funny too, and they're like, "What do I have to plant?" I'm like, "You have to plant marigolds." And they're like, "What?" It's like, trust me, just plant marigold.
How did you hear about that?
I read it somewhere, and I'm going to guess I read it in probably like Mother Earth News or somewhere like that.
Sure.
Mother Earth News, Grit. I'm subscribed to all of those magazines.
So we talked about, because my next question was, what have you tried that worked well? Marigolds. So we're going to skip that one and go straight to, what have you tried that failed or didn't work well? Besides planting tomatoes under big trees.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some recent failures. I would have to say, so I have a hobby of growing weird things.
Okay.
So I have our staple plants, right, that we're growing every year, and it's the squashes and the pumpkins and the watermelons, corn, so forth. So, but I like to grow novelty plants too. I actually have a goal to grow the world record setting tallest sunflower plant.
World record tallest sunflower?
Yeah, it's the world record right now sits at like 32 3/4 inches, or 32 feet, 32 3/4 feet. My biggest plant ever has been at like 18.5 feet.
You have to double it.
Yeah, yep.
That's nuts. Wouldn't it fall over? Do you have to support it?
You do. You have to.
Okay.
You have to support it. So my biggest failure would possibly be, actually, you know what? This year, I've had a couple failures this year. One of them is a novelty plant. It's called walking stick kale.
What?
Kale.
Kale. Okay.
It's a kale plant. It grows about 20 feet tall in its native range. And people actually, when they cut it down, they make walking sticks out of the stem. Like it becomes this woody. But kale, if it gets big enough, creates a woody stalk anyway. So they use these stalks and they make walking sticks, and you can go online and buy them. They're expensive.
Okay, I've seen this picture on like Rare Earth or Baker Creek, Rare Seeds and Baker Creek. Wow, yeah. Those are nuts.
And it's a whole market in Cornwall, England, I think, maybe. I know it's in the British Isles. But they take them and they cut these sticks up and they hang them for a year for them to dry out, and then they sand them down and lacquer them and sell them as walking sticks. And it's supposed to be a highly sought after thing in some circles.
Huh. Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to try growing this. My kale got about 4 inches tall and died.
Oh man, what is this? A walking stick for ants?
Right. And I have some seeds left from my failure earlier in the year, and as I'm going to plant again in October and try to grow them over the winter, because I think South Mississippi's climate's more conducive to southwestern England's summer fall climate. So I'm trying that again. My failure this year is I grow hot peppers, and I make hot sauces. And I've grown hot peppers for years, different varieties, ghost peppers, Trinidad scorpions, Carolina Reapers. So this year I tried, my ghost peppers did phenomenal. I have pounds of ghost peppers in my fridge right now. I have to dehydrate. But I tried 2 new varieties. One's called Dragon's Breath, which is supposed to be hotter than the Carolina Reaper. Carolina Reaper is the hottest official pepper. And then another one called Death Spiral. And
that sounds awesome.
I have lost all but 5 of my pepper plants, and none of those are even a foot tall, and they've been in the ground for 3 months. I don't know what's going on with those plants. So that's been a failure for me this year, a big failure for me, because I grow peppers all the time. I love growing them. I've never had problems with them.
Do you ever do soil tests?
I haven't in a long time. I do it once about every 3 years.
I was just curious. I've never done one, so
well, it's easy here because the University of South Mississippi Department of Agriculture.
Yeah.
You can go to any feed store and the test kit is free. You pick up this box and these sample baggies, and you take the samples and you mail it off to the university. It's like $12, and then they'll mail you a letter back with everything that's in your soil. Nice.
I was just curious.
It's convenient because apparently that's not a thing in a lot of places. Matt Sorrell on Twitter is also in our Telegram group. Me and him was talking. He has to hire. He's up in New York, right? He has to hire an actual company to do it, and it costs several $100s.
Oof.
For what I get from the university for 12.
I feel like they make like kits like that you can buy online and just like
they do
mail it in, and yeah,
they do.
I've actually interviewed Matt kind of early on, like probably 4 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
They do sell them. You can get them. They're not near as detailed though. Like if you really want to go,
true, yeah.
If you really want to go with what's in your soul and exactly how to fix it, the report I get from the university will tell me that there's 14.6% potash. Just to throw something random out.
Right.
And I know exactly what the pH level is. And when I do test, and actually next year is year 3 for my last test, so I will test again. I pull up Google Earth and I print out a picture of my property, and I just dot where I pull my samples from. And that way I can compare the results from the test back to where I actually pulled that sample from. And it gives me an idea of what I need to plant where, how I need to amend the soil in certain areas. I don't want to. I have a lot of goat manure that is composted, and it is wonderful for growing plants. but I don't want to throw it somewhere I don't need it. Because
Sure.
again, I'm small property, and I don't. I have some goat manure, but I don't have enough to just, recover the whole garden every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So very, very, very pick and choose what I do where out there. And but once you do this long enough and you learn plant health and you learn how to study negative reactions in plants like yellowing leaves or brown spot appearing or other people do, you can kind of tell what's going on in your soil without this, just by what the plants themselves are doing.
You broke up just a little bit there. At the end.
All right. Okay, I was just gonna say, I was just saying that by learning the plants, you can kind of tell what's going on in the soil by how the plants are reacting to or how the plants are growing.
Right.
My exception would be the peppers. I have no idea what's going on because they're not turning yellow,
Sure.
they're not browning, there's no fungus, there's no mildew. Like there's nothing I can visibly see wrong with these plants.
Sure, they just got stunted and then like stopped, I guess, or something.
Yeah, basically.
Weird.
So I've actually bought some fertilizer mix. It's all organic. That I'm going to try putting on my peppers whenever it quits raining. It's rained for 3 days straight now.
Do you have like did you contour your landscape at all to like capture any of that water, or is it designed in such a way that
it is designed in a way to get rid of water?
Okay. Because it can be too much.
I get a lot of water.
Sure.
Last year I lost my entire late spring, early summer crop to rain.
Jeez.
Last June we got a year's worth of rain in the month of June 2020.
Oh my gosh. What's your annual precipitation?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. But an average June is like 7.4 inches. We are one of the wettest places in the country. Like we are right behind the Pacific Northwest.
Annual precipitation of Mississippi. Statewide average is 55.9.
Go to
more about 65 along the coast.
Yeah.
Okay, 65 inches along the coast. I'm at 19.
We got, it was up there. It was 60 some inches. I seen one report that said 68 inches of rain that June.
In a month. Wow.
In a month. Wow. It was just tropical wave after tropical wave coming in off the Gulf. And June last year had 5 named storms. Like most of them came over or nearby us, so we got rain off of it. And but last summer was very cool at the same time because it was overcast the whole summer long, and we got a lot of rain. We had a lot of clouds, and it took until August to get us up into the 90s when normally we're hitting 90s in late April, early May. So there was a balance to it. The temperatures felt a lot nicer for a lot longer.
Right. It's very humid though. If it's that wet, it's quite humid.
It is humid. I can take 100% humidity up to about 90 degrees. After that, it becomes miserable.
I can take about 0% humidity anytime. Dude, I'm a dry heat boy. I'll just, and then I can just complain about the temperature and not that the air feels heavy. I don't like that.
I was born and raised in the South. I've lived with humidity my whole life. It don't bother me at all.
I mean, it's pretty humid in Minnesota where I'm from. Just with all the bodies of water around, the air is just heavy. And I don't like it. I didn't realize how bad it was until I left. But moving on, what's been the biggest challenge in homesteading that you faced?
The biggest challenge has been my income. I was talking to somebody the other day. It's been a little while back at Homegrown Sanctuary on Twitter. Kyle, we were talking about it, and I said, when you live like this, it's very much feast or famine. And we have times where we have extra money and we're not worried about anything. And there are times when I'm like, all right, I hope market is really good this weekend because we got a power bill coming up. So my biggest challenge has been having faith in myself to be able to maintain this. If I'm absolutely honest,
okay.
There's been many times where I've gone, you know what, it'd be so much easier just to have a 9 to 5, and I know I got a paycheck every Friday. Because it's stressful. It does stressful. We missed market 3 weeks in a row here recently. Heat wave on one Saturday, and it was like 118 out there with the heat index. And we were like, yeah, we're not going. And then my birthday, and everybody wanted to stay home and celebrate that. And then my daughter's birthday the next week, so we didn't go to market for 3 weeks in a row. Ooh. And this past 2 weeks have sucked pretty bad. And I told my wife, I was like, we didn't realize how much we depended on the market, did we? Nah, we're not going to take a 3 weeks stand again. So a little recent lesson learned.
Is there a way you can capture your regular customers or clientele without the market? Or is that is it pretty tied?
My local customers, I would say we're half and half where we've gotten our customers from. Now, most of them come visit us at the market, but we gained a lot of customers off of Facebook. As much as I hate that platform, so if you get on Facebook, you have I'm in Social Mississippi. I don't mind telling people it's not hard to research and figure that out. Sure. There's a group, Citizens of Social. There's actually 3 Citizens of Social groups on Facebook. One of them does not allow you to advertise your business. The other 2 does. So couple times a week, I throw a post on there. Hey, we got a new product coming out, or hey, come see us at the market this weekend, or something like that. And we've actually made a lot of connections off of Facebook. Our Facebook page, I'm going to lie here and guess it's like 400, 500 followers on it now. My wife handles the Facebook.
I gotcha. Okay.
Most of our online sales has come from Twitter.
Huh. Wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, just about all my online customers found me on Twitter.
That's pretty sweet. It actually did something.
Yeah. Oh, I've made good money from Twitter over the years. Not like great money, but I've made money from Twitter over the years.
Sure.
I have
made friends. That's invaluable.
Oh man, the connections I've made on Twitter has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Twitter is a networking platform if you use it correctly.
That's true.
Yeah, I have an ebook. I've done ebook sales over Twitter. I have 2 published books. I post them on Twitter from time to time, and I'll get sales from that. So I've made money from Twitter.
I didn't know that. About what are your ebooks about? Or your other books, all of them.
My ebook's about gardening. It's basically, you know how you got the For Idiots books.
Yes.
So it's like Gardening's for Idiots, the basic edition. It's
the crayon eating edition.
Yeah, basically, it's for people who's never touched a seed or touched dirt in their life. So that's my ebook, and it goes into doing like you was talking about home soil tests.
Yeah.
I have a whole section in there about the jar tests where you put dirt in a jar with water, shake it up, leave it overnight, and you can see the layers of clay, sand, um,
Silt.
silt. Thank you. And you can tell by how thick those layers are what your ground composition is. So, and I have pictures of all that. So all that's in that ebook.
That's pretty sweet.
The published books, one of them is it's called The Christian Heathen, and it's basically
Is that
the
supposed to be
story of
funny?
no,
Oh, okay. It sounds
no.
funny. I don't know why.
It is a journey of my spiritual. I went on like a 20-year spiritual quest, studying all different religions and stuff. And, that kind of documents that. At the same time, it brings into mind. I talk a lot about the Norse heathen movement that's going on. You know, it's getting more and more popular these days.
The what?
The Norse heathen movement,
Oh, okay.
Norse paganism, Odin, Thor, all
Sure. Yeah.
the Norse gods. That's one of the fastest growing religions in the world right now. And
That's interesting, I guess.
yeah, it's I actually compare that to Christianity in some parts of the book about how some of the tenets of I call it Odinism. I know that's not the name of it. But some of the
Odinism.
yeah. So how these tenets of Odinism actually matches Christianity, but it actually matches these other religions too as a guidebook of morality. And it's really just it's a documentation of my journey through different religions and getting from I was never raised in church. In my teenage years, early 20s, I was into witchcraft and all that. And then actually leading to where I'm at now, where I'm an ordained preacher, and went to Liberty University for my theology degree, and now I'm a full-fledged converted Christian.
Dang.
And then my second book is it's called Musings of a Modern Barbarian, and it's literally just that. It's just thoughts. I wrote blog articles for almost 3 years for a website called barbarianrhetoric.com. And I took all my blog articles from 3 years and I edited them and I rearranged them and did some stuff and wrote a couple extra and just put them in a book. It's a musings book. Sit around the campfire, sit on the toilet, whatever, and read thoughts.
Sure.
And it's thoughts of God, family. I think God, family, pipe smoking is what I got on the front of it.
I got you. Okay, nice. Quick question about the Christian heathen or heathen. What is it?
The Christian heathen.
The Christian heathen. It kind of sounds like you went shopping for religion and you found one that you liked the best. Is that kind of like? Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Okay. I was just like, it kind of sounds like he just like went to test all these things and see what he liked, see what worked.
Yeah, I went and I didn't just study. I actually put into practice all the different aspects of it. So when I studied Buddhism, I kind of, I didn't wear the red and orange robes and shave my head, but I tried to apply some of the tenets to my life. When I studied Islam, I tried to apply some of the tenets to my life. And I never converted to anything, but I immersed myself in every religion that I looked into.
That's fascinating because then you can speak to Christianity in a completely different way that a lot of people couldn't.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And my first bout of Christianity was with a cult. And that's why Christianity was the last religion I came back to, because from about 15 years old to about 29, 30 years old, Christianity was a cult. I wanted nothing to do with it. And I went and studied all these other religions.
That's really, really fascinating.
I've led an interesting life.
I could tell.
The first 30 years, I'm 39 now. From like 30 to 39, I've lived a very non-eventful life whatsoever.
From what age to what age, you said?
From 30 to now, so the last 9 years, my life has not been very eventful. It's pretty much me and my farm.
Is that so bad?
No, it's not.
What's the best part about homesteading?
Without a doubt, how much time I get with my kids.
Nice.
My oldest boy, he's apprenticing with a plumber, so he's got his Monday through Friday job. But my middle child and then my daughter, I homeschool both of them. I'm around them 24/7, and yeah, it's my absolute favorite part of what I do.
Does your wife work?
Yes, she's a teacher.
Oh, nice. So she's a teacher, and you're homeschooling the kids.
Yeah, yep, that's exactly how that
that's
goes.
funny. That's funny.
She teaches at a Christian academy in the town closest to us.
Nice. That's pretty cool. So we talk in our Twitter circles, we talk a lot about localism. What makes localism important?
For me, localism is important because it's your community. So this goes back to my prepping days when I actually started as a prepper more than a homesteader. Everybody gets this idea that you can do it by yourself, when in actuality that you can't. You're not going to survive as a lone wolf in the world, and that's where localism comes into play, because when you embrace localism, you're strengthening your community around you. You're building everybody around you. When you're spending your money at your neighbor's place, and your neighbor's spending their money at your place, you're involving each other and building each other up, and you just grow as a community at that point. And there's less need for reliance on outside sources, on these big worldwide supply chains and things like that. I don't need bananas from South America because the guy up the road has 5 trees in his backyard, right?
Right.
I'm getting my bananas, and he's making money, and it buys bags for me. It's a great way to strengthen everything around you, from local economy to building friendships, and it's just support. It's support without the need of outside assistance.
Sure.
So living a self-reliant lifestyle and believing in self-reliance as much as I do, it kind of sounds weird. Relying on my neighbor builds my self-reliance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that. There's like a whole nother aspect of it too, though, because if you think about city life, there's a lot of headbutting going on. Where I don't even talk to my neighbor because he put a whatever flag in his yard. But when you actually know your neighbors, you're a lot more. I mean, really know your neighbors, not just oh, they had a stupid sign in their yard that I didn't like. Be like, no, that's so and so. He's got 3 kids. One of them's going to this college this fall, and this blah blah blah. You actually know what your neighbors do, what their interests are, or whatever. It's a lot. You can care for them and care about them a lot more. That you see them as a person, and rather than just they voted for the wrong team.
Right. And that's a good point. So let's look at Hurricane Ida last year. Everybody talks about Louisiana, whether it's Ida or Hurricane Katrina or whatever, but Mississippi gets slapped really hard by these storms.
Sure.
Hurricane Zeta 2 years ago wiped out almost all my infrastructure, took out my buildings on my farm and everything. Twitter actually banded together wonderfully and bought me a new greenhouse and bought me a new outbuilding and everything.
Seriously, dude. Nice.
Seriously, I am still grateful for that, because I watched 8 years of work get blown away by Cat 3 hurricane, and within a month, people I've never even talked to on Twitter, didn't know they existed. I had a new greenhouse. I had a new storage building. They just really, really came through for us. I had people send money for food, and I think it was it was Nate at Chronicles of Nate on Twitter. I think it was him I was talking to, and I just busted down crying, just overwhelmed by the generosity. But
how could you not?
Fast forward to last year, Hurricane Ida, it made landfall in Louisiana as a Category 4. We got hit pretty rough. Not so much. I didn't lose any infrastructure on the farm, but we lost power for almost a week. And everything works off power, right? I got a well. I don't have county water. So if I lose power, I lose water.
Right.
My neighbor, we ended up getting together. I had a bunch of and he had three big. Do what?
Your audio cut out there. You banded with your neighbor, and what did you do?
I had a bunch of jars of veggies and stuff that I had canned and preserved for the winter. He had 3 giant freezers full of meat. So mine and his family ate together for 3 days straight. Every meal, nice. He brought the meat, I brought the sides, and that's part of that support. If I lived in a place where you didn't know your neighbors, my kids would be eating jarred corn and jarred green beans and starchy potatoes. And so it was just one of those examples of where localism and community came together to benefit me. I live in hurricane country. I'm 16 miles from the ocean. It doesn't take much to go from normal life to kind of in survival mode.
All right, I'm making a note here for later. Something I want to talk to you about privately.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That would be really quite the experience. Being able, the hard times in your community, but you and your neighbor, because you know your neighbor, you talk to your neighbor, all that. You're in this community that you came together, and I'm sure that was kind of it ended up kind of being fun in a way. I'm assuming,
yeah.
How was your relationship after that? Do you still have meals together every now and then?
On occasion, if their granddaughter's having a birthday party, we'll go over for the cookout, and my daughter and their granddaughter is about the same age.
Sure.
But we before and since then, we've literally met at the fence. The old school, Leroy's on one side, I'm standing on the other, and we will stand there and talk for an hour. And he's telling me about, he's not into gardening or anything, but he's very good in the landscaping. He's got beautiful flowers and bushes and trees all over his property. So he's telling me about, this bush he planted over here, or maybe his pear trees in the backyard, what they're doing. And I'm over here handing him a dozen eggs just because I have 20 dozen in the refrigerator. I'm talking about, the goat. We lost a goat last week or whatever. And it's we've always had that meet at the fence and talk relationship. It wasn't long after I moved in. They're older folks, and his wife's a little crazy. And we wasn't here 2 weeks, and they were, y'all come over and eat with us. We're cooking out. And at the risk of throwing out stereotypes or sounding a little racist, they're an older black couple. And when they cook, man, I'm gonna tell you, they can cook. So it's been good. We've always been that way. Eat here and there together. Birthdays, holidays. One Thanksgiving, we brought them over here. They didn't have any family coming into town. It was just him and his wife sitting over there. So we did a Thanksgiving meal together. And
That's
but
cool.
but it's weird because I would hesitate to call them my friend because
Sure.
we don't really have a friendship.
Right.
We have a neighborship. We help each other out when there's a need. We talk with each other when we cross paths, and we look out for each other. If they go on vacation, I watch the property. If I'm on vacation, they watch my property. Um, his wife, I told you she was a little crazy. She almost shot the cable guy one day.
That's hilarious.
Had the cable guy coming out to install internet, and his vehicle was unmarked, so it was just a solid white van.
Okay,
No
that
windows.
is a little sus.
Yeah. So I done talked to him. He was out walking around looking at where he was going to run the line at, and I hear screaming. I'm inside the house, and I hear her screaming. I hear him yelling, and I'm like, "What in the world is going on out there?" And I walk outside, and she's got a 45 revolver waving around in the air. Who do you think you are? Why the F are you over there? What business you got on that property? And I come running out. Whoa, it's okay. It's okay. It's the cable guy. Poor dude. Poor dude was so pale. Like, he just knew he was about to die. But good people. Like, I know I can count on them if I need them.
They're alert. They're aware.
They are. She knows everything that's going on. And what's so funny is we can only see each other in the winter, and except for one spot in the yard where we meet at the fence to talk. Right, I can see
sure,
their I can see their property. The fence divides our property, but everywhere else it's wooded on both sides of the fence. It's just this one area.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Okay.
he just happened to park right there in that area where she could look across and see, because they're the only people I can see, and I'm the only people they can see from the road. Right.
Yeah.
You can't see my house. You can't see their house. And I can kind of see one of the neighbors through the trees a little bit if the leaves are off.
Sure.
I like where I'm at. I like the privacy of it. I forget why I went down all that rabbit hole.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It made me think of one of my bucket list items is to have like a big or attend a Southern style like meal, like, you know, I don't know if it's just like one of them like food channel thingies or whatever, but like you got like this big long table with like tablecloth and like there's like shrimp and all this stuff, like maybe there's like someone roasted like a pig or something, I don't know, just like this big barbecue community thing. And I don't know, I've never spent time in the South ever, never been, other than like Florida. That doesn't really count.
Yeah, Florida's trash can in the South.
But I mean, like, the food looks so good that I want to, and like to have the good food and the good community, like that would be a cool experience.
There's a reason most of us are kind of fat down here. The food is very good. That's like it's a requirement. If you ever come to the South and you go to someone's house, they have to feed you. It's custom.
The Southern hospitality thing.
It is.
Sure,
when
sure.
Coach Joe came, I smoked a pork shoulder on the grill.
What does that mean? Who's Coach Joe?
Coach Joe Hart, the one that taught me to do the flipping I was telling you about earlier.
Oh, sure. Yep. Got it. Okay.
When he came, we did the stereotypical Southern thing because he's from New Jersey. I smoked a pork shoulder on the grill. We drank beer. We went down. He had never shot. I'm not going to say what I have. He'd never shot some of the guns that I have, so we let him shoot those. And just had a good old fashioned. Because he even told me, he goes, "When I think Southern, this is what I think of."
Perfect.
I was like, "Well, this is culture. This is how my mama raised me." You know.
You have a automatic rifle, don't you?
I do not have an automatic rifle. Nice try, Fed. Although
Next time.
Although that's a federal law, because the state, according to Mississippi law, the state don't care if I have one. It's the feds that care. No, I don't have an automatic rifle. I do have a rifle that they want to take away from people though.
I can only guess what that is. Maybe we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, and you know, I do with it what they say you can't do with it. I deer hunt with it. So.
Nice. Wrapping up here, what would you tell people that want to get started?
Go slow. The thing that I see cause the most failure in new homesteaders is biting off way more than you can chew. Too many people try to get too big too fast and take on too much at one time. Yeah, I've been full time for 2 years now. It took me 9 years to get there. I worked a 9 to 5 for 9 years, and even then, I was kind of forced into it, right?
Right.
So, yeah, don't rush. Don't try to take everything in at once. You know, do if you want goats, start with rabbits. If you want turkeys, start with chickens. And chickens are like they come in the starter set anyway. You have to get chickens from go.
That's true. That's true. The gateway drug or whatever they call it.
Yeah, and you know, and the next thing is gardening is a lot of work. You're going to spend way more time doing it than you think you're going to.
At least as more than you like, you should be spending a lot of time doing it, because if once you neglect it, like it just falls apart. Like your plants do better the more attention you give them.
Yes. Rhizoma School on Twitter, she has a homesteading course. I've lectured for her twice, and one of the things I lectured on, she always has me do the gardening and plants and talk about those. And one thing we talked about was the amount of time you need to spend in the garden per week. And people don't realize it, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's like if you have a 700 square foot garden, you're probably going to spend 12 to 18 hours a week in that garden. 700 square feet is not a lot.
No.
Oh, one thing you mentioned earlier when you was talking about how I grow so much in the smaller area, I never got to part two, and I wanted to mention that real quick to the listeners, was I grow a lot of things vertical. I send up into the air whatever I can send up into the air.
What does that mean?
I grow a lot of things on trellises.
Like what?
Pumpkins, watermelons, tomatoes.
Pumpkins? I think I have seen pumpkins hanging from like hog fencing or something.
Yeah. You just put some net around them once they get too heavy, and support them with a net. But if you go up in the air, especially with vining plants like pumpkins or watermelon, it takes a huge amount of space normally. You're freeing up a lot of room for yourself to put more plants.
I'll have to remember that. That's kind of cool. What's a good pumpkin or watermelon companion plant? Marigolds?
Marigolds always go well. Beans.
Beans?
Green beans. It's another heavy feeder plant. Beans go great with anything that's a heavy feeder. So corn, squash,
yeah.
Peas work really well. Also, that's why they're used as ground. So I know a lot of people that use peas to grow as an overwintering ground cover and just till it up under in the spring for biomass.
Nice.
So yeah, watermelons or pumpkins, the best thing other than marigold would be beans. That's the main thing.
That's a good tip. I'm really weak in the gardening department. I got some funky looking like garden beds that you'd probably laugh at, but they work. So there.
Hey, that's all they got to do is work.
Yeah.
I laugh at nothing. It's like everybody thinks I have a bunch of raised beds in this pretty manicured garden area. I do not. Especially this year, that giant amaranth I grew.
Yeah.
All around it are waist high grass.
Mm.
Because I couldn't really get around the amaranth to keep it weeded. And I just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I let it go. And now I have wild chickens. We didn't talk about my wild chicken flock. They nest in the grass there, so that's where they're at.
We just doubled our laying flock, and I thought I had enough nesting boxes, and for the first couple of days I did, but I'm like looking around, I'm like, why I'm like missing almost half my eggs. What is going on? And I had to look around, and like they were laying in like the sagebrush. Like I've got just like straw thrown everywhere, and they like just started nesting in the sagebrush. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. Plus,
I have 20.
What's that?
I was going to say I have 28 layers, and they all lay in the same nest box.
What?
I have enough nest boxes for all of them that have their own, and they all lay in the same box. And I have one broody hen that likes to sit on them and fight you every time you try to get eggs.
That's really funny.
It's a journey every day.
Every day. It's in the sagebrush. It kind of gives you a good excuse to stick your face in the sagebrush and take a big whiff because it smells amazing.
I've never smelled sagebrush.
It's all. I should just cut you a piece and send it to you just so you can smell it and be like, okay, I get it now. But hey, let's plug your stuff. And what's something? Is there anything that you wanna say before that we didn't cover?
No, I think we covered everything. The only thing we missed probably was my wild chickens. And with that said, if you got the ability to let one or two chickens run around free, let them run around free. They will keep pests eaten down like you and I now. They will get into your vegetables. But I haven't picked a tick off of my dogs in years. And it's all chickens. Chickens are amazing animals.
Yes, they are. I actually, since doubling the flock, I actually like them more than I had been. Like it because it's new. Like, oh wow, now I have so many. This is neat. Because I was like, oh whatever, chickens, this is fine. But now I have like a new appreciation for them since doing something different with them, I guess.
They're always entertaining to watch.
Yes, they are.
The animals are my wife's domain. The plants are mine. I think it's kind of backwards of what it usually is, but
I think I've heard that here and there. Every once in a while, the husband or man, I guess, whatever, will take on the garden versus. I don't know. It just depends. It's just whatever your interests are.
Yeah.
So you are at Padre Homestead on Twitter, and smith-homestead.com is your website.
Yes. That's it.
That's everything.
So you can find my books on Amazon if anybody's interested.
And you know, I feel like there's another Joseph Smith that wrote a book, and it might be.
He started a whole new religion. So, yeah, you have to type in The Christian Heathen by Joseph Smith or Musings of a Modern Barbarian. Either one will pull it up. Yeah, if you search my name, you're going to get all kinds of stuff.
Good to know. I'll make a note to link that in the show notes. So, hey man, appreciate you being here. Appreciate your time, and it's just finally good to connect and hear more about your story.
Yeah, absolutely was. Had fun, Matt.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Amazing interview with Joseph. Finally able to make this interview happen. I'm happy about that. His outward positivity is very contagious, and I feel like we only scratched the surface of his crazy path in life. Thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video. Check out our website, farmhoplife.com. You can sign up for our email list or Telegram channel there to be notified when new videos, interviews, and podcasts are available. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, MeWe, and Float. Send me a message at farmhoplife.com/contact or email me directly, matt@farmhoplife.com. I'm always looking for new people to interview. If you want to come on to talk about homesteading, farming, food security, homeschooling, regenerative agriculture, alternative building methods, or anything else, send me a message. farmhoplife.com/guest is where you can fill out that form. Oh, and of course, if you would like to come help you out at your farm, homestead, property, whatever, go to farmhoplife.com/20x23 and find out more about our 20 by 23 project. It's pretty cool. Go feed yourself.
Inside of the city, the people are crazy, out of their minds, they ain't got a clue. We gone away, headed west for Montana, left family and friends, all I got now is you. We both got new jobs, a house and a homestead, thinking this was the life, all that there'd be. After our firstborn, you had to stay home. That's when the work got in the way for me. Well, I started Farm Hop Life. We'll come to your farm to help and to wander. Me and the family, a truck and an RV. Send us a message and